All right, everybody. The other day we were talking a little bit about proteins, fats, carbohydrates, what they look like, and how you should best consume them, what you need to know. It's very easy for someone like me who does this sort of thing every day with people to forget that lots of people just don't have the basic understanding of nutrition about what goes in and what adjustments to make to obtain whatever goal they might have, whether it's weight loss, weight gain, weight maintenance slash performance. So I'm just going to go over 3 or 4 slides and explain exactly what food is and how you can look at it, basically. So let's go nice and quickly then over to the first slide. What are macronutrients? Proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. What are they primarily for? Energy, muscle repair, growth, hormone production, brain function, vitamins, mineral, so much stuff. Basically, having a good amount of all of them helps with normal bodily function and optimal body function for you. So it's good to have ideally a balance of all of them. I know that people will argue that X, Y, and Z is better, but for most of us, a good balance of all is ideal. Now, carbohydrates and proteins, we both know for 1 gram that you have of each of them is going to equal 4 calories. Fats, on the other hand, 1 gram of fat is going to equal 9 calories. Why is that important to know? Fats are not bad. They're often made out to be the bad guy. However, even though I'm going to say they're not bad, they are also probably the thing that causes people the most problems when they aren't paying full attention to what they're eating. Why do I say that? Because lots of the time, when someone's putting 10 grams of butter on something, they think it's 10 grams, but actually it's 20 or 30. And therefore, instead of 90 calories for that butter, we're looking at 180, 270. The same goes for cooking things in oil. Again, nothing wrong with cooking things in oil, but when you're starting out, these are very easy things to overindulge in, even if you don't realize you're doing it. And when I've worked with people in the past and I've made them do food diaries, I look at their diet and I think, wow, that's really not that bad. And what I think then is there's 2 options. They're either lying to me and they're eating lots of Mars bars in the meantime, or they're not sure how they're prepping their food and they're prepping their food in the wrong way, namely being with fat intake. Too much oil, too much cream, too much butter, that sort of thing. And that's, again, I'm not saying fats are bad, they're just something to be aware of, that they are basically giving you twice as many calories as a carbohydrate and protein. Okay, super simple. On to the next one. How do we get around that? How do we work out how to get to our goals? These are 2 really simple tools that you can use, and there's loads of calculators online. I want you to do 2 things. Firstly, find your BMR, basal metabolic rate, aka what do I burn if I'm doing nothing? The number next to it that you can see is 2001. That's my number as someone who's 6'1" tall, 28 years old, and about 98 kilograms. 2,000 calories. For you, it's likely if you're lighter than me, or shorter than me, or older than me, it's going to be lower. Okay? Calculate then your TDEE, so total daily energy expenditure. And I'm trying to go through this quickly, so apologies if I mix up my words as I go. Basically, this is with the activity on top of my normal hanging about, I'm therefore going to be burning. Now, at the moment, I think 3,098 is a bit lowballing it for me. I think it's probably more like 3,500 just because my activity is very high. This calculator is super important going forward. And people get this wrong all of the time. And very often people think they're either way less active than they are or they are way more active than they are. So when you go and do your total daily energy expenditure, if your day consists of sitting down, waking up, going to work, coming home, sitting down, you are sedentary even if you're walking to work. Okay? Unless your walk to work is 5,000 steps or like 4 kilometers, right? And then I'd give you a bit of wiggle room. But if you're just getting to work to sit down, coming home to sit down, you are inactive. And now the same goes for if you occasionally play football once every 2 weeks, you are also still pretty inactive on average. So when you work this out, try and be as honest as possible. It will usually come up saying, do you work out 1 to 2 times a week, 2 to 3 times a week, 4 to 5 times a week? Are you an athlete or are you a farmer? Okay. And that's how we work out this number. For me, that looks like about 3,098. What do we do with that information now that we know how much proteins, fats, and carbohydrates are worth, how much I need to be eating? We choose what our goal is. Are we gaining, losing, or maintaining? And again, to begin with, for everybody, this is a bit of a tricky situation where we're thinking about how obsessive can I be about this? How obsessive can I afford to be about this? And everybody's different. If you know that you're someone who's going to struggle to weigh themselves regularly because it's going to get you obsessed, then probably avoid this part. Probably don't do the specific tracking, but it's good to follow some of the principles I'll talk about. There's loads of emails going in around me. Fine. Super simple then. If we're trying to gain weight with limited activity, and you should be doing activity, please do activity. It's going to pay off hugely in the end. All we're going to do is add calories to this number. So instead of eating 2,000 calories a day, I would eat 2,500. Okay? Then in theory, over the course of a week, I've eaten 500 extra calories per day. Maybe I'll gain a pound. The best way to actually judge this is weigh yourself on day 1. Eat 2,500 calories for 7 days. Weigh yourself on day 7. Did I gain weight? Did I lose weight? If you gained or lost weight, you've either been successful in the right direction or unsuccessful in the wrong direction. The same goes for losing weight. Take away calories. Maybe I'll eat 1,700, weigh myself day 1, weigh myself day 7. Was I eating 1,700? To be honest with you, the only way you're going to be able to track specific calories to maybe 5 to 10% accuracy is by using a tracker. So that's using MyFitnessPal to begin with, chronometer or chronometer, whatever you want to call it, just so that you can build a picture, and over time you'll get an eye for it. Eventually you'll go, that's roughly that, that's about this much weight, and then you'll be good to go. The same goes for total daily energy expenditure, and the energy expenditure one, 3,098 calories. The same goes. If I'm maintaining the activity I'm doing, all I'm doing is adding calories to this number. That is crazy amount of emails coming through, so popular, or it's Teams, whatever it is. To lose with this activity, the same thing goes, minus calories from this number. So all you do is take away. So maybe it's 2,700, 2,500, depending on how aggressive you want to go with that. It's important if you're doing the activity though, that you're still fueling yourself enough to be able to perform well in the activity you're doing. And we'll talk about that in more depth in future, because it can be tricky trying to lose weight and do activity. But we can talk about it because that's currently what I'm doing. On to the next. Now what do we do? Okay, there's two options. If you're scientific, if you like doing things specifically, accurately, on point, what you can do is weigh things into oblivion, calculate things into oblivion, and do things like, I'm going to eat 40% of my protein, 40% carbs, and 20% fat. And you weigh them all and you track them all and you follow it like that. You could do a different split, 30, 50, 20. It doesn't matter. What I personally think is best for everybody is aim for a protein goal and fill the rest accordingly. Now, for most people, a protein goal is going to look from 80 grams per day to 180 grams per day, depending on your body weight. The heavier you are, generally, the more protein you have to eat. The lighter you are, the less protein you have to eat. However, general goal is try and hit like 100 and 120 grams to begin with. If you're a big guy, you've got lots of muscle, you're a girl who's training lots, you've got lots of muscle mass, the same thing goes, bit more protein. But to be honest, if we're bringing up that calories, so if we eat 120 grams of protein, 480 calories, and we're aiming for a total daily of 2,000, then we can fill the rest of our diet with 1,520 calories of proteins and fats. And now, why was it important early on for us to know whether the proteins or fats and how many calories they will have? Well, simply put, if you eat a lot more fat, you will eat up your calories way quicker than actually eating complex carbohydrates. Things like potatoes, you can basically eat a mound of potatoes for very minimal calories. So if you get just normal potatoes, I'm telling you, you could eat like 3, 4, 500 grams of potatoes for just not that many calories. However, if you eat 100 grams of butter, that's 900 calories. And people very easily, in my experience, have done 50, 60, 70 grams of fats just without realizing it. So look at your diet, enter those numbers, see where you're at, and if you're still confused, please just send me over a message. I've done this thing probably 1,000 times with people now at this point, so we can put something together really quickly for you in terms of calculating what's going on. So please just send me a line. We can calculate your numbers. We can calculate what you should be putting in, what you shouldn't be putting in, but I hope this helped. Just get a basic idea of the ins and outs of food and how you can make forward progress. Thanks for listening, everybody, and I'm going to go and reply to these Teams messages.